The Drive. Now on the Fan Sports Network. Ready, set, let's roll. Let's roll. Ready, set, let's roll. Ready, set, let's ride.
Welcome back on The Drive here on the Fan Sports Network. Show presented by Coral Canyon Golf Course, Wilkinson's House of Lighting, The Stretch Lab, ZAG, Advanced Window Products, and Prime IV. Devin Dixon and the guys ready to go, and a very special guest for the first time on our show, the brand new Utah Tech head football coach Lance Anderson joins us now via the telephone. And good morning, Coach. Thanks for jumping on the airwaves with us.
Good morning. I'm excited to be with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, what a whirlwind, huh? I mean, take us up to speed. You know, last week, the process that led to the press conference Friday where they tabbed you as the new Utah Tech football coach. What was that like?
You're exactly right. It has been a whirlwind for sure, and everything just happened and came together so fast. But yes, I went through the interview process with Ken Beazer, had a few, multiple interviews with him, and then was offered the job on, I believe it was Wednesday, and then we had the quick turnaround and had the press conference on Friday, and it has been we've definitely hit the ground running since then. It's been a busy few days, but it's a really good kind of busy, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see your wife sitting there with you. I was actually expecting her to speak a little bit at the press conference, Coach, but you handled it well. But how's she taking this all in? Is she your grounding force? Does she keep you pretty level through this whirlwind?
Oh, she definitely does. I mean, she understands what it's like being married to a football coach now, and she's been great. She's definitely, very supportive. She's my rock for sure. And, I mean, she loves the game of football, too. Her brothers all played football, so the game of football is a big part of our lives, and she's great.
For listeners out there, you've had the opportunity to coach with some great coaches at some great programs, but this is your first head coaching gig. Where is the excitement level? I can kind of sense in your voice that you're over the moon excited about this opportunity.
Oh, definitely. Very excited about this opportunity. I grew up in southern Idaho. It seems like, I've just been so familiar with Idaho, Utah, where this whole area seems like home for me. So that makes it even extra special to, be at a place like Utah Tech, to be in such a beautiful area as St. George. It's great to have that, my first head coaching experience here. And I'll tell you what, just, as a football coach, as an assistant coach, this is something you really work towards your entire career. It feels like, your whole career, you're accumulating knowledge, you're learning from all the assistant coaches you're around, all the head coaches you work for, and during that process, when you're always making note of, okay, I really like this, I would do it this way, or no, I think I would do this instead. So during that whole process, as an assistant coach, you learn, what you like, what you don't like. Hey, this is what I would do, this is what I wouldn't do. And so now I'm excited to go out and kind of apply all that information, everything I learned over the years, and be able to apply it to my own program, run things the way I like. And I'm really excited about that opportunity.
And Coach, you talk about the guys you've crossed paths with in the coaching world. You've been under the tutelage of guys like David Shaw, Jim Harbaugh, Derek Mason, Vic Fangio. Those are some huge names to just the casual fan. Who had the biggest impact of those guys on your coaching career, would you say?
Every single one of them has had a big impact on me. I've learned things from each of those guys. They've all given me, special opportunities that have helped me grow and develop as a coach. I kind of really point to Derek Mason as really shaping my career. I mean, Derek and I have coached at a number of places together, whether it's Idaho State University, Bucknell University, St. Mary's College, Stanford. So Derek and I and our families, we've been really close for a long time. And I also have to point to Vic Fangio. I mean, that's who I really learned. I mean, the system of defense that I really love and believe in. I really learned from Vic Fangio, and he's a phenomenal football coach. I don't know that there's a better defensive mind out there. And, his just knowledge of the game in general is just so impressive. And, he's someone that's been a big mentor to me, someone I really lean on heavily. And, I've been so lucky. Those four guys you mentioned, plus so many other, great assistant coaches I've been around. I've had a great experience, in the coaching profession.
And Coach, Connor here. I grew up in the Bay Area there, South San Jose. I know you had a little familiarity out there at Stanford. And, you know, growing up for you, you were a Southern Idaho native. Now you get a chance to kind of come back to this Idaho-Utah region where a lot of your recruiting grounds were. I want to ask you, Coach, what has it been just coming back to this region and getting back in the Utah-Idaho area? And what are your plans as far as kind of recruiting these surrounding states?
Great. I love this area. I loved it at Stanford, and I was there for 16 years, which is a long time as a coach. And I mean, we built that program into one of the most dominant programs in college football for over a decade, and that was really rewarding. I love my time there. I feel really lucky this past season to be back home in the state of Idaho, to be at Boise State, to be around a lot of great coaches there, and to accomplish some of the things we did and go through some of the adversity, and winning the Mountain West Championship was a great experience. And I'm so excited to be at Utah Tech and to be in St. George. My entire time at Stanford, while I was at Utah State, a lot of my coaching career, I have recruited the state of Utah, and I'm excited to be back here. I love the caliber of football in Utah. There are a lot of great high school coaches. So I know at Utah Tech, Utah is going to be very important, for our recruiting. We want to target the entire state. We want to do a good job recruiting the state of Utah. That's going to be a big priority for me. In fact, I just flew into Salt Lake this morning. I'm excited to spend a few days here, up north of Salt Lake, in Salt Lake, down in the Provo-Orem area, and get out to see a lot of schools. But I think our location at Utah Tech too, there are a lot of other real fertile recruiting grounds close by. I mean, we're a 2-hour drive to Las Vegas, 5 or 6 hour drive to Phoenix, 5 or 6 hour drive down to Southern California. So I think those are going to be areas that we target very strongly, and that I know that we can get a lot of good football players out of.
Hey, Coach. Spencer here. My question for you, Utah Tech has a lot of rich football history dating back to the junior college days, but since we've gone NCAA level and Division I to a lesser extent, we've had a bit of a struggle, and we haven't been able to win a lot of football games. What are your plans to kind of get that going in the right direction and make Utah Tech a competitive team at the FCS level?
I know what it starts with is hard work, and I'm going to surround myself with a group of coaches that love to work, that aren't afraid to roll up their sleeves and do whatever is required for us to be successful. So that's the starting point. And I've got a good idea now, especially sitting down with a lot of the current players. I mean, one of our big things that we need to do is we just need to instill that winning culture, that belief that we can be successful. We need to instill discipline and accountability, and I know we will get that done. I want a football team that's tough, that's physical, that gives great effort. I want guys who love football, and it should be very evident. When you watch us do anything that we do, it should be very evident that we love football, but especially the way that we play on Saturdays. It should be very clear that, hey, this is a group of young men, this is a group of coaches who love the game of football and are going to do anything that's required to be successful. So I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I'm excited about getting in, getting to know the players, developing their trust and their respect, and building something special. I think there's so much untapped potential at Utah Tech and in that St. George community, and I think that community it's starving for winning football, just like it was when Dixie was a dominant football program at the junior college level. So yes, I know it's going to take some work, but I'm very excited about what we can build there.
New head coach of the Trailblazers, Lance Anderson, live with us here this morning on The Drive. How do you prioritize step one, step two, all the action plans you trigger into effect here? I mean, you got a bunch of kids in the portal right now. You got all these kids to recruit in the portal that are not at Utah Tech. So you got to hit that from both angles. You got to build your staff. Like, what's first step? Are you going to go target the recruits first, or building your staff first, or is it all simultaneous right now, Coach?
It really is simultaneous. It's almost like, drinking through a fire hose right now, where you've got to balance all these things, because all these things are critical. They're all high priority, where I think it's so important to get to know our current players and get to know their goals and their ambitions and how I can help them reach those goals. Yes, I've been reaching out to the guys who are in the transfer portals, because I want guys to stay at Utah Tech. I want to build a program there where guys are proud to play for Utah Tech, and they look back in 20 years, 40 years, and they are proud of what we built and what we accomplished there. I've been getting to know the current coaching staff there and interviewing them, also reaching out to a lot of coaches I know and who I've worked with. Recruiting is a huge priority right now, whether it's trying to see who's in the transfer portal and see if there's, someone there who could supplement our roster. I really want to build a roster that's built on high school recruiting. So I think it's so important getting out and, connecting with the current commits and some of the guys who've been offered, just getting out and, getting to the high schools, talking to the high school coaches. So it is like nonstop, but all these things need to be done simultaneously at once. So it's a big job, but I love it. I love every aspect of coaching, every aspect of football. So like I said earlier, it is a fun kind of busy right now.
How long till we expect, your first hire? Have you made a hire yet? Have you offered any assistant coaches jobs to anybody yet, Coach?
Really still going through that process. I think it's going to take a little time, like I said, for me to, really find out, who is the best fit, what is the best combination of coaches. So it might take a little while there. I'm not going to rush into that because I want to make sure I'm attracting, coaches who are great teachers. They can coach the fundamentals, the technique, blocking, tackling, those kind of things. I want coaches who are high character men, who are great role models, great examples to their players, to the players they recruit. And, I want guys who care about their players, who want the best for them, who can build that trust and respect in each of their, position groups. So it's a process. But I think once we're done, we'll get a good group of guys together.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you get and you've seen it before. You've been on both ends of it, right? You've been coaching a long time. I mean, you always said, hey, if I ever get a head coaching job, I want you to be my coordinator. But timing is everything. Sometimes that's not as simple. You do have some good coaches on staff. Do you expect to overhaul the staff, or will you keep a couple coaches on? Or the early meetings with the current coaches that have been on staff, is there some guys that you think could be a good fit, Coach?
Oh, I definitely think there's some guys that could be a good fit. I've had some really good meetings with those guys. It's good getting to know them, and I'm kind of going through that process right now of reaching out to maybe other coaches who have coached with them that can maybe give me a little more insight. Kind of really open right now. I really do appreciate what Paul Peterson has done there, what that coaching staff has done. I know that they have worked hard, like you guys mentioned. I know they didn't have the success that they would like, but I really got to credit them for, putting this current team together, building this team, and starting to, establish that culture there. And, it's humbling for me to be able to, pick up where they left off and to, just finish the journey where, we build that winning program. So it's definitely been a process putting the staff together, but I'm excited about that challenge.
And Coach, it's kind of a new frontier in college athletics with the transfer portal, the NIL. You've said that the transfer portal in the press conference, you said, is a big part of college football and is not going away. What is your stance overall on the transfer portal and the NIL as far as those two things being compounded together now in college athletics?
Exactly. And I just think at this point, as a college football coach, you need to embrace both, because I truly believe that neither one is going away. I think NIL is a great thing for student athletes. I mean, it does give them that opportunity to be truly compensated for their name, their image, their likeness. College football players, college student athletes in general, they put in a lot of time. They put in a lot of work, and it's a tough job to balance, athletics and academics. And it's great that they can now be rewarded for that. I just think you've got to, I want to build a program, like I said, that's really built on high school recruiting. I want to build a program that has that kind of culture, that winning tradition where guys, they want to stay. They want to be part of it. They take a lot of pride in representing Utah Tech University and playing for Utah Tech and, playing with their teammates and playing for their coaches. But I know that the transfer portal is just part of college football, and occasionally you're going to have guys go into the portal, and as a coach, I mean, you're going to have to dip into that portal too and find some guys that can supplement your roster when you have a need at a certain position. I mean, you can go and target a guy there and maybe give you more immediate help than maybe a high school recruit that needs more development would give you. So I think those are things that, you have to embrace in this day and age in order to be successful.
Coach, we talked a little bit about the Jimmies and Joes, but what about the X's and O's? What are some of the football philosophies that you plan on bringing with you to this team? I know you're a little bit of a defensive-minded coach, but just in general, tell us a little bit about maybe some of the schemes, some of the ways you plan on attacking, and just a little bit of the mindset you want to establish here as the new face of Utah Tech football.
Yeah, I definitely want, we're still a little open on the X's and O's scheme, things like that, but I definitely want an offense, defense, a special teams unit that are they're focused on attacking. They're focused on being aggressive. Don't want to be passive at all. We want to be in that attack mode all the time. Just from my experience, especially 16 years at Stanford, being at Boise State this year, and just following college football and football in general so closely, I truly believe that to be a great team and to win big games, like for us to go to the FCS playoffs and to compete at that level, we have to be physical. We have to be tough. On offense, we have to find a way to run the football. There are different ways you can do that, different schemes, but we have to be able to run the football when we need to close out games, pick up first downs. I mean, you got to run the football. And on defense, you have to be able to stop the run. You've got to be tough. You've got to be physical. You got to stop the run. You got to force offenses at some point to become one-dimensional. And then that allows you defensively to maybe get a little creative in some of your blitzes, your pressures, your stunts, things like that. I do understand that in today's football, you've got to throw the football. You got to throw to score. You got to throw in the red zone as teams, pack that defense in. So I want that balanced offense, but we got to be able to run the ball. We got to be tough. We got to be physical. Like I said on defense earlier, I love what Vic Fangio has done. Very multiple on defense. Very sound on defense, defense that plays with great effort, great toughness, great physicality. But number one, stops the run. Those are some things that I truly believe in football wise.
Lance Anderson, you've got some fans already, Coach. You haven't even, been on the job very long. Just got a text in on the text line. Please give Coach a big shout out and congrats from a fellow Minico Spartan. Is that like the high school you went to? Minico Spartan?
That's it, Minico High School in Rupert, Idaho.
Okay, you got some alumni in the STG rooting for you already, Coach.
Outstanding. That's great to hear.
Hey, we'll let you get back to work. Really appreciate you carving out some time for us here on the Fan Sports Network. Look forward to many more chats. As soon as we get closer to some of the signing periods, as soon as we get some news on some hires. I know you got a lot to do right now, so we'll let you get back to it. Hope the rental car runs good, and you go get a bunch of Trailblazers to commit real soon, buddy.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to this challenge, and sure looking forward to staying in touch with you guys.
All right, Lance Anderson at work, just grabbed his rental car on the side of the road, doing a drop with us here on the Fan Sports Network. He's got recruiting to do. He's got coaches to hire. He's got games to win. It won't be long before we're talking about, the early signing period is coming. The portal is hopping. There's thousands of kids in the portal right now. We got the late signing period. We got spring football right around the corner next year.
Off season never ends.
Never sleeps. College football never sleeps. Love what I'm hearing from Coach Anderson. Obviously on paper, all those years, 16, 17 seasons with Stanford.
Yep.
The coaches he's been around, the Harbaughs, the Fangios, the Shaws.
Interesting that he mentioned Mason was one of all those names. I was thinking Derek Mason might be a little down the list, but he was one of the more influential guys.
He just got hired as a head coach, Middle Tennessee State. Yeah. So that's cool. Appreciate Coach Anderson jumping on the horn with us here from the Finley Hyundai Studios. We got to take a final break. We'll come back, get you ready for the day in sports. It's The Drive. Good morning on the Fan.